Hoyo just can't stop putting out these peak character designs, and it's getting to the point where your wallet is going to disappear among the sea of butterflies. Hoyoverse really went up to free-to-play players and said, which is cool and all if that chain wasn't what was holding you back from becoming the world's largest Leviathan player. In Honkai Star Rail, there are plenty of characters that are useful in one way or another. Even characters that actively damage themselves serve a purpose. And there's no shortage of coverage on different elements, except for one. Imaginary. Imaginary only has one character of that type as a version 1.0, and that character is arguably harder to get than rate up 5 stars, since you can't guarantee him until 300 pulls in on the standard banner. And if you're spending your Stellar Jades on the standard banner, then I honestly don't really know what to say. Maybe you know something I don't. Imaginary might as well not exist at the moment, which is fitting because it's imaginary. Anyways, this will probably be fixed down the line when more characters come out, just like how Genshin keeps releasing Dendro characters. But at the moment, we're really struggling out here. So with that said, we're coming up on 1.1 for Honkai Star Rail, and hopefully it's going to have a ton of content, but what we do know for sure is that Silverwolf and Luocha are on their way. Since Star Rail is a turn-based game where enemies are always allowed to hit back, well, unless you use wealth, the characters that you choose to pick up are actually a lot more important than you might think. If you don't care about clearing the hardest content in Star Rail, as in you don't care about Forgotten Hall or Memory of Chaos, then this video probably doesn't apply to you at all. But hopefully you can still learn something about both characters, because in today's video, I'm gonna go over both of them and which one you should pull for. Also, I go live on Twitch a few days a week at twitch.tv. The link's in the description. My name is Braxophone, and let's get started. Right after this brief message from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Snowbreak Containment Zone. Snowbreak Containment Zone is a third-person shooter real-time action combat anime RPG with bullet hell gameplay where you fight big bad bosses with big personalities. During the 8th annual Valkyrie Games finals, a huge humanoid titan appeared seemingly out of nowhere, beginning what was known as the First Descent. A few years later, the Heimdall Force was created to find the cause of all the destruction and unlock hidden truths. This is your mission. Snowbreak Containment Zone features a variety of customizable content to let you approach different encounters in different ways. Customize your weapons in-game and create a 3-member team of your favorite characters to take on waves of enemies and massive bosses. The art style is absolutely gorgeous, and the character designs got me feeling some feelings, alright. Oh man. Fenny's one of my favorites because she has a shotgun. Outside of characters, the environments and gameplay are fantastic, and I can't wait to see what happens with Snowbreak after its next closed beta. Speaking of which, it's going into closed beta on June 1st, and will be officially releasing cross-platform on July 20th for PC and mobile. If you pre-register for Snowbreak Containment Zone, you'll get exclusive pre-registration rewards on release, and right now we're at 5 Valhalla passes, but we're almost to exclusive skins and weapons, so make sure to go pre-register. Make sure to use my link in the description or pinned comment to pre-register for Snowbreak Containment Zone. Now back to the video. Both of these upcoming characters look insanely strong, and if you're free to play, you're going to have a hard time deciding between giving up your Jades for Silverwolf or Luocha, or saving for Kafka like you know you want to. But if you've resisted being dominated by Kafka for this long, who should you pick? Well, let's go over both of them. Luocha is not only a beautiful long-haired king, but he's also an imaginary unit. No, not like that. He's like actually a real character. He's just imaginary type. Luocha is an abundance character, and he has heals of plenty. What makes him stand out though is that he does literally everything. He heals with a skill, he has a talent that heals allies whenever they're below 50% HP, even if it's not his turn. He's imaginary type coverage, he cleans your house, he does your taxes, he helps you find true happiness. This guy is the real deal. Unlike other healers, his heals scale on attack percent, which means that his personal damage won't actually be too bad, and he gets benefits from party-wide attack buffs. Like Natasha, he's got a debuff cleanse in his traces, but unlike any character in the game, he has an AoE dispel that allows him to remove a buff from every enemy at once. When Hoyoverse inevitably fills Memory of Chaos with self-reviving enemies, he's going to immediately invalidate them. You can just unsubscribe from an entire gameplay mechanic using Luocha. Speaking of unsubscribing, don't do that please, I actually really need you all here. In fact, if my videos are helpful to you, or if you just like my content, hit that little red button down there. It really helps me out. I'll wait a second for you because I have to set up my auto battle. Anyways, because Luocha does all of that must mean that you need him, right? All of that utility, and specifically the AoE dispel on enemies, seems way too busted. Well, I'm not going to argue with that because it'd just be stupid. Obviously, the character is going to be very strong and will likely dominate the new Memory of Chaos the same way that I wish Kafka would dominate me. But if you are free to play, you have to be extra picky with your pulls, and unfortunately, the other character this patch looks to be insanely good too. Luocha has it all. Amazing healing, healing, cleanse, dispel, imaginary damage, and more, but Silverwolf provides a completely new utility too, the ability to add a weakness to an enemy based on your team comp. If you're someone that has bad taste debuff and no weakness to pineapple on pizza, Silverwolf will reconstruct your taste buds, removing that bad taste debuff and making you weak to pineapple on pizza and allowing pineapple to get more value. One of the single biggest walls in Honkai Star Rail is having characters to cover every possible weakness for harder content. If you have a fully invested Danheng who can pump out tons of damage, as soon as you're against enemies without a wind resistance, they resist 20% of your damage, which makes Danheng feel a lot worse for that type of content and definitely is slowing your clear. Enter Silverwolf, who has a chance to implant that wind weakness and reduce enemy resistance. She gets even more resistant shred on top of the base 20% with her skill, and on top of that, Haxor Bunny But Not has the ability to bug enemies, lowering their speed, attack, or defense. Her ult also has a defense shred, making her an absolute debuff machine. Now, with all of that said, there are a few problems with Grey Dog. Her debuffs are all random. There's no way to truly guarantee that you're getting the right weakness implanted every time, unless you're playing for Quantum. Hoyoverse really loves their RNG, and you're also not guaranteed to get the best bug for your damage output every time. Her defense shred bug is going to be best for clearing content fast, and while attack and speed debuffs are comfy for your team, they're not helping you beat Memory of Chaos in less turns. All of this is to say that in a lot of teams and for a lot of players, she's not going to work as well as you'd hope. But even as a baseline, at least from what we're able to tell, without delving into leaks, even in suboptimal teams for Black Cat, you're still going to be getting a lot of value out of her kit. But if you play her in her optimal setting, you can get even more value. So what is the optimal setting? Well, anything with a quantum focus is going to be awesome, since that's what Silverwolf's elemental type is. But ultimately, what Silverwolf enables best are mono element teams. Teams that have Silverwolf and 3 characters of the same element. So that when you add a weakness to an enemy, if it happens to be the same type as the 3 other characters, you can break through that weakness incredibly fast. One example is a mono fire team, where you can use someone like Asta who has a bounce skill to break through enemy weakness incredibly quickly, all because Silverwolf let you implant that weakness. At the moment, we do need further testing to find out if Silverwolf's skill will have a 75% chance for fire in that scenario, or a 50-50 between quantum and fire. And we all know how we feel about 50-50s. Anyways, if you're subscribed, I'll make sure to cover that in my guide. Mono team building looks nuts for Silverwolf, and I cannot wait to try out this mono imaginary team I've been working on. And I'm sure you all have teams you'd like to try as well. Conceptually, it's just super fun. But if you're not a gambler like Gotcha Girl here, Off-White Pup may not appeal to you, and that's totally fair. Ultimately, both Luocha and Brawny Online are tons of value, especially at the start of the game. So which should you pick? Well, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you don't care about meta, then none of this really matters because you've already made up your mind. But if you're free to play and you're not going for Kafka or Blade, you've got a choice to make. Or not. I mean, personally, I don't really care too much. I'm just making a video. If you really want to clear Memory of Chaos, the hardest content in the game as soon as possible, and you don't have Japard or Bailu, or if you're just looking for imaginary coverage, then Luocha is definitely the way you want to go. Luocha is going to make Memory of Chaos a breeze, especially when it caters to him next patch, and he can be that second healer or sustaining unit that you actually need to be able to survive the harder content and get all of those stars. But like I said earlier, we will have more healers eventually. And if your sole purpose to pulling Luocha is that he heals and he can cover that second team, you may be able to just wait a tad bit longer for the next one, because Silverwolf has a completely unique utility that will be able to add a new gameplay style to your account. There will always be more healers that have cleanses and powerful utilities and emergency heals, but there likely won't be many characters that add weaknesses to enemies. In my opinion, and based on all the stuff that I do for this channel, Silverwolf is a more power creep proof support that will help you deal more damage and unlock new playstyles, similarly to Kazuha from Genshin Impact. And Luocha is a powerful healing unit that will likely always be good and can help you progress further in newer content for the time being. Between the two, pull for whoever you need based on your goals for the game. But most importantly of all, Luocha's hot, so pull for it. Thanks for watching, game. Oh wait, also Luocha banner has Yukong, but we're getting one of her for free in 1.2, so don't feel like you need to pull on his banner for her. Thanks for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and come hang out on Twitch if you want to see character testing when they go live. I'll catch you next time.